So I need to step away for just a second, and I'll leave my screen up and try and come back in a little while. But really what I wanted to say to you is welcome, and certainly thank you for your interest in Fountain Valley. From an athletics standpoint, I think one of the things that's been most impressive to me, I've been here just this year is my first year at the school, but what's been really compelling to me as someone who's been in schools for a long time, but new to Fountain Valley, is both the range and the variety of athletic opportunities that you have at the school. So whether you were interested in pursuing one of the competitive sports that are interscholastic, like soccer or cross country or tennis or something like that, there are good opportunities for you at multiple levels for that. Likewise with basketball and the other competitive sports. If you're interested in trying a more individual sport or more kind of uniquely Colorado sport, like mountain biking or climbing, there's an opportunity for you to do that. If you've never done those, but want to do those, there's some opportunities for you to begin to explore those new sports as well. So it isn't as though you have to know what your great sports passions are. It isn't as though you need to even have any sports passions in particular, because there are a number of afternoon activities that aren't necessarily athletic related, like theater tech, yearbook, digital media, and so on. So the idea is that you're engaged in some activity, ideally, in my view, athletics, but not exclusively athletics, that's contributing to the larger life of the school. And I know that there are lots of folks on the call who can talk in greater detail about some of those specific programs, whether it's equestrian or climbing or biking or soccer. But I think the important thing for all of you to know as you're thinking about the school is there's an enormous, for a small school, we have an enormous variety of opportunities at lots of different levels. If you're already committed to or expert in a sport, there's likely to be room for you to continue to grow as an athlete. If you're just interested in a sport and are not really sure about it, you may try a new sport and discover a passion or a real talent for that sport that you hadn't yet had an opportunity to explore. And so, again, welcome from my perspective as the athletic director. The other thing that's really distinctive about the school is the quality of the coaching that you're going to find here. And again, for a small school, you've got some really, really accomplished and talented coaches, some of whom are on the call tonight, who you'd have a chance to work with. So it's not a small school with small opportunities. It's a smaller school with some really big opportunities, certainly in athletics. So with that, I'm going to duck away, go do the basketball intros. I'll be cycling in and out of the call, but my camera will be off when I'm away. And if you do have questions that don't get answered during the call by the real experts, you're welcome to contact me in athletics. My email address is on the website, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. So with that, I'm going to step away. Tyler, back to you and on to the rest of the crew. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you in a little bit.
Thanks, Eric. I am going to pass off to Kevin Ray, who is our Assistant Director of Athletics and runs the soccer program here at Fountain Valley.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm the Assistant Athletic Director here at Fountain Valley School, and also have been the soccer coach here for boys and girls for the past 5 years. Some of the programs that we offer are more of your traditional kind of 2-3 season sports. And then we have your 1 season sports. Since I've been here, we've tried to change things to be able to offer at least 2 seasons of one of the sports. And that was designed so that our student athletes could prepare for whatever season it is that they need to prepare for. So some of our signature programs are, we obviously have our equestrian program, so our English riding program, with a branch off of Western riding as well. We have just signed a multi-year deal with a soccer organization called Black Rock FC, where we will now offer for boys, we will offer a 3-season opportunity for the more elite player looking to potentially go on and play in the college. The plan is to hopefully add girls within the next 2 years. We also offer climbing, and we will be able to go into climbing in a little bit more detail later on in this call, but we moved from being a 1-season climbing program to a 3-season climbing program. A more advanced climbing program in the fall, followed by the competitive climbing program in the winter, and then moving to a more kind of beginners intermediate program in the spring to allow everybody an opportunity to get that chance to climb. We offer a swim program, so a swim conditioning program in the fall, followed by the season in the winter. That's something that I've been involved in as a parent. I have a senior that's about to graduate. She'll be going on to college to swim, and she's been a part of the program for 4 years. So she's been able to practice in the fall and then compete in the winter. And then girls volleyball is another one of our popular programs. We've been very fortunate. Last year, we were actually, last semester, we had 3 teams. We had a C team, a JV team, and a varsity team. So our numbers have traditionally been very big for volleyball. Then we offer mountain biking in the fall, competitive mountain biking. Obviously, we've got a lot of land with our prairie land here. So mountain biking is something that's very accessible here on campus, as well as numerous trails in and around the surrounding areas that we're able to utilize. We've had a successful cross-country program. Prior to COVID, boys and girls both going to state. Again, we have great facilities here on campus for anybody that's an aspiring runner. And then we have basketball. We offer basketball conditioning, or have offered basketball conditioning in the fall, which is really a prep program for anybody that has a real interest in basketball to prepare for the winter season, which is currently going on right now. And then we have tennis for boys and girls. Boys are in the fall, girls is in the spring, but obviously access to the courts is year round because they're here on campus. And then we have some of your maybe less traditional programs that we offer. So we offer a skiing and snowboarding program. It's not a team, but it is a program where we take the athletes up to the mountains to be able to ski, sometimes at Monarch Mountain, sometimes at Breck, sometimes at Keystone. It will vary. So number of programs, and in some of our non-athletic programs, we have theatre. So we have theatre. During the fall, it's theatre, the full play. During the winter, it's a musical. And then in the spring, it's the spring play. And connected with theatre is Theatre Tech, which is for your more ambitious student that looks to help build the set and prepare for the play itself as scenery. So number of different opportunities, and more than happy to discuss any at a later time when the questions come about.
Great, thank you, Kevin. We are going to jump to climbing. And so we are going to have Michaela Kelly, who is a coach and faculty member, and then Renee will speak from a student's perspective about climbing. And then I'd also ask Renee to talk a little bit about mountain biking. So passing it over to Michaela and Renee.
Yeah, so this is my first year coaching climbing at this school. I've coached climbing in other locations, but our climbing team is incredibly competitive. We've traveled to 4 different competitions and had an alternative 5th competitions that students were able to go to. And we have a climbing gym on campus. It is what I've been told, the largest school climbing gym in the country, at least among high schools. We have almost about 10 auto belays, a lot of top rope options, lead climbing, and a large bouldering section, as well as a training area. And it allows our students to excel in multiple areas, not just bouldering or top rope or lead. We really work as a team. And so our leaders, one being Renee, our captains, lead warm-ups, they lead core at the end, and then they just support each other throughout the climbing process. Whenever you get a route you've been working on, we're all watching. And, if you fall, we're all supporting you and helping you find ways to work on your climbing and progress. But it's definitely, and there you go. And there's the climbing wall. If you are able to see Mr. Moore's screen.
So for
It's-
those of you who haven't seen our climbing facility, it's a little difficult to show it. And we've got a basketball game going on next door, but yeah, we have the largest indoor climbing facility of any high school in the country, from bouldering along the back wall all the way to our main wall. All right, back to you, Michaela.
Yeah, and just the level of competition that we are against, we're able to progress our climbers, and we're fortunate enough to have the routes changed out regularly. So every few weeks we have setters from other gyms in Colorado Springs come in and set new routes. So it's not a total reset of the gym every 2 weeks, but we're constantly getting new routes. So you don't get bored of the ones that are there, because there are still ones that you can challenge yourself with, and ones that you can do over and over for an endurance day, like what we did today in practice. You do certain routes 4 or 5 times until you're taxed, and then you're building that endurance capacity so that when you go to a competition and you're getting really tired, you're still able to perform at a high level. So our climbing program is truly one of a kind. And I think Renee will be able to explain from his perspective just what it's like to be a high school climber at a gym like this. So go ahead, Renee.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Yeah, so to summarize what Ms. Kelly said in non-climber terms, it's pretty cool. Our climbing gym is super accessible, not only to the climbers on the team, it's also open on the weekends to the larger student body. And I found that there's a lot of climbers who had no prior experience, who came here, tried out for the team, made it, and are now competing. We have a climber who just picked it up his freshman year and is now 5th in the region. Christian Monroe, I think the brother of somebody who's on this call. He's pretty cool. And it's the climbing gym is really an opportunity for everybody. And I feel like the climbing team is also very accepting of everybody there. I found a community coming here from Costa Rica in the climbers. And I hope that everybody coming here will at least try out the climbing gym. In terms of mountain biking, I've never been on the team, but I'm very close friends with the people on the team. And I did go to a couple of their competitions, including Fat Bike Worlds, which was a couple of weeks ago. The biking team is also a lot of very intense people. The coaches are absolutely insane in the best way possible. They're incredibly fit human beings, and they push you to your limits and are also there to support you. It's a lot of fun. We do use the prairie quite a bit, and eventually it does get a little boring. So we do go off campus to go ride at Red Rocks or Cheyenne National Park. We have great mountain biking around the area as well. But the prairie for sure is a big asset for the mountain biking team. And it's also a community as well. It's accessible. We also have a couple of bikes on that the school owns to lend to students. So I think that both of those programs are a great addition to alternative sports at Fountain Valley.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Renee. While we have him, I'm going to introduce Tumaine Cooper, who is our girls basketball coach. He's going to just talk really quickly about basketball, and then we are going to jump on to the next program.
Okay. Hey, sorry about that. So my name is Tumaine Cooper. I'm the head girls basketball coach. So a little bit about the program. We, after taking a year of hiatus, so we're back this year. We're doing pretty well. We're 9-2 on the season. Also, it's a building program, a program that we typically do not cut students. Anyone that wants to come out and try to play, they're more than welcome. We established a JV program this year, so that right, if you never played before or learning, then we use that to help develop the skill set of you. It's a really good group that we have. We're bringing mostly everyone back. I think we have 12 students, so we're bringing 9 back. So we should be building on this momentum and kind of keep the success rolling in the future years. So does anyone have any questions on that? All right. Well, thank you. So I actually have to run real quick. We just got done with a game, so I have to run back and address the team a little bit more. So thank you, and hopefully y'all have a good night.
Thanks.
All right.
Wonderful. Renee, while I was wrangling Tumaine, did you have a chance to talk about mountain biking? You did? Okay, great. Perfect. So to represent our riding program, we have Malia Shearer, who's one of our young and very strong riders. So Malia, can you hop on and just chat a little bit about the riding program in whole? Give us a little update on how you're doing this year, because you guys are having a great season, and anything else that you'd like to share.
So I'm on the advanced English team, and I'm also a part of the IEA Hunt Seat team. I'm currently showing the 2 foot, and I'm going to do the 2.6 next year. We've won all 6 regular IEA shows, and we're on to regionals for this Saturday. And then we're the first ever IEA team in the nation to win all 6 regular shows. And then I personally have gotten High Point champion at 3 out of the 4 shows that I've done. And since I'm a day student, I show during the summer too. And so I'll be doing the 3 foot next year during the summer. The riding program's one of my favorite parts of the school. Everyone in the barn is like super supportive of each other, and the trainer's always happy to help the students through anything barn related or school related. I have learned a lot from giving my horses vaccinations to like awesome horsemanship. The trainer's always pushing us to ask questions, so we learn as much as possible during the time at the barn. We have one very large indoor arena, a small covered arena that we use for turnout, 2 outdoor jumping arenas, and then 2 Western arenas. In one of the Western arenas, there's a place for the kids to work with the cattle we have on campus. And then the Western arena is also equipped with pole bending poles, barrels, trail equipment, and other gymkhana utilities. And then the English team, we have a full course of jumps set up like all the time. And it's always like pretty difficult, so we can challenge ourselves and learn more. And so Fountain Valley provides horses for us if we don't want to bring our own. I brought my own, but he's not a jumping horse, so I'm currently riding a school horse, and she is awesome and super fun. And she was donated, so she is pretty high quality. If you do choose to bring your own horse, there are stalls with runs, or you can choose to put them in the paddocks or the pasture where they roam free of all the acres we have here. And speaking of the awesome acres, we can also go on trail rides. The Western goes more than the English, but we are allowed to go. And whenever there is some, I am always the first to sign up because it's just so much fun and so pretty. And it's a lot of fun to go with my friends. And then like my typical day at the barn is like after my last class, I go to the barn so I can clean my stalls before I get on, so I don't have chores after I ride. And then we usually have a lesson from around 3:50 to 5:15ish, kind of depending on the day. And then after I finish all my chores at the end of the day, a lot of me and my friends who ride go up to dinner and talk about our rides and our day, and it's just super fun. We're just like one big friend group. And I just love all the friends I've made at the barn, including the 4-legged ones, and they've just made such an amazing impact on my life. The schedule is kind of the same for the Western riders. Most of their horses are in the pasture, so they don't have the responsibility of cleaning stalls, but they usually help Spencer, our Western coach, with any extra stalls. They go on a lot of trail rides throughout the year, learn to move cattle, rope, groundwork, and they are just really hard workers all around like the rest of the riders. The Western English riders all support and help each other out with whatever they need, if it's advice or they just want a friend to go up to the paddocks with. I absolutely love the barn, and it's my safe place. Thank you for listening, and I could go on forever about how much I love it.
Thanks, Malia. So can you add just a little bit about the horsemanship aspect of riding. So students just don't walk down and hop on horses and go riding for the day. Can you talk a little bit about the other responsibilities?
Yeah, so for me, since I am riding one of the school horses, I have the responsibility of cleaning her stall every day, along with some of the other kids. If they have a horse in the stall, they have to clean their stall every single day, including the weekends. And then we, like, once or twice a week, we have chores of like either sweeping the aisle, cleaning up after, helping up cleaning up the barn, or like picking their arena, making that clean for the next day. And then once a week, we feed in either the morning or night. I have been feeding paddocks on Sundays for the past 2 years. And so that's just kind of part of my routine now. Yeah, so if your horse is your responsibility. If like they have an injury, you're kind of like expected to help tend to it, be there if the vet's there for it, learn how to take care of it. If the horse needs their leg cold hose, you should be cold hosing it. If they need medicine, you give it medicine. It's like really hard work, and but it's a lot of fun, and you learn a lot by doing it.
Awesome. Thanks, Malia. So we're finished a little bit earlier than we had planned.
Yeah.
Great. So we have lots and lots of
Okay, I'll
time
be done in a minute.
for questions. So for any of our guests who have questions, if you want to add them in the chat, or you can just turn your mute off and go ahead and ask them if you have any questions about any of our programs. We are all happy to answer them.
Hi. We are very interested in the English program that Malia was just nicely speaking about. We have a lot of questions, but I don't know if this is for like everybody to be on, or if we could, I don't know if Malia would speak with us on Zoom somewhere else. I don't know. I'm just throwing all that out there because we have a lot of questions.
I am happy. I'm glad that you asked if you can connect privately. Malia, would you want me to connect you through email? Okay, so I'll connect you with Malia through email and you can connect on that.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll let my daughter do a lot of the questions, but thank you all for being here and talking about everything as well. This is amazing.
Absolutely. Does anybody else have questions about either athletics or also after school activities, maybe some of the non-competitive or non-athletic offerings?
Hi, so I was wondering, like I'm a climber, but I also play a lot of tennis, and I was wondering like how it worked if I was interested in being like on the climbing team, but also like playing tennis, if I could do both, or how does that work?
So competitive season for climbing is the winter season, and the tennis season is the fall season. So that wouldn't, they wouldn't clash with each other. You'd be able to do both. But just know that you would want to come in on the weekends to climb as much as possible to ready yourself for the competitive season, because not everybody makes the team due to the fact that we are looking for people who are ready to, you know, compete at a high level.
It is somewhat unique in that we have such a robust climbing program. And while you are a tennis player, and of course we want students to pursue all their passions, as a non-climber, one of the neat things that I get to witness here is students who come in that already have an established passion for climbing, just diving that much deeper into it. And the fact that you can be on the wall typically for actually 6 days a week, because we normally have climbing as part of weekend activities that's offered, whether it's for an hour and a half or 2 hours, you're able to get on, you know, world-class wall for 6 days a week for 2 full seasons. And so it does tend to really pull students in. But if you wanted to play tennis in the fall and climb in the fall, you certainly could talk to the climbing coaches and try to work something out where you could, you know, do both. Great question.
Yeah, the gym is accessible on the weekends, and I know quite a few people who didn't want to do the spring season, but kept strong enough to do the winter competitive season. As you know, as a climber who came in with a passion for soccer as well, I found that I just fell into climbing here more so than the other sport. But it is definitely accessible to do both.
Thanks, Renee.
Hi. So this is for Malia. I was wondering, how did you learn how to like give the horses vaccinations? Like, is there a program that you have to like, or like do you sign up for it or something like that?
So there's like a vaccination day twice a year because we give them 2 vaccinations, and the trainers will go through with the kids who don't know how to vaccinate and teach them how to vaccinate, but you're like required to vaccinate the horse you ride. So I vaccinate my personal horse and then the school horse I ride. And then since I have been here helping and learning all this stuff for a while, I'll usually help out and vaccinate like the horses that don't have riders and stuff.
So Malia and Renee, I have a question for both of you. Can each of you give an example of not a sport, but of an activity or a school trip that you've gone on while you've been here that you didn't necessarily participate in before you got to Fountain Valley, or one that you really enjoyed? Maybe WHIP or an all mountain program trip or heading up to the mountain campus.
Sure. So I'll talk about WHIP and then another one real quick. WHIP, also known as the Western Immersion Program, is a program for sophomores where they take you up to our beautiful mountain campus, and we stay there for, I think, 3 nights and 4 days, if I recall correctly. Basically, it's just like know where you are. These are the roots of Colorado. Immerse yourself into sort of the Western cowboy culture that used to and in some places still exists in the state. I thought it was great, especially since it was my first year in America, and I got to see a side of America that isn't necessarily appreciated in Costa Rica. In terms of sort of shorter activities, last semester we managed to convince a couple of teachers to take us out to hike Mount Missouri, and 14 of us, most of which were on the climbing team, went and hiked up Mount Missouri, like right before winter hit. I think that the school provides a lot of opportunities like that over the weekends, and if you talk to the right faculty member, you can get a lot of trips going with your friends to cool areas. It's something that I would have never expected to do with my school, hike a 14,000 foot mountain. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
And then for me, since my first year here was a COVID year, I haven't really had a chance to experience much, but WHIP really stuck out to me. It was a great time to bond with my class and like really get to know the other people, especially since the first year was a COVID year. It was just super fun, and I got to know the teachers and my classmates and learn a whole bunch of things, and it was really nice to be out of the classroom.
Awesome. Thanks, Malia. If anyone else has questions, this is a great time to jump in.
Tyler, there's a question on the for Adeline. What time of year are mountain biking and rock climbing? Mountain biking is the fall season. So August. So when we come back to school in August until the early part of November, there are normally 4 to 5 races, not including state. And then, if you qualify for state, then you're able to compete there. Rock climbing, the competitive rock climbing season is in the winter. But because of COVID, last year, we added rock climbing in the fall as well. It's more of a competitive environment. There is tryout process, but it's more of a competitive environment to prepare for the winter season. And then you have the winter season, which is the competitive season. We have 4 teams, a varsity boys and a junior varsity boys, a varsity girls and a junior varsity girls. I believe there's roughly 12 on each team, if I'm not mistaken. And then in the spring, we have a more beginners/intermediate climbing. So that will not be for competitive climbers. That will be for climbers that are looking to improve and get better, or looking to maybe try for the first time, having experienced it once or twice. So mountain biking is the fall. The competitive rock climbing season is the winter, but it is offered competitively in the, advanced in the fall and intermediate beginners in the spring.
Thanks, Kevin.
I have one last question. I'm sorry. I love that there's so many different sports at this school as opposed to baseball, football, and I love that classmates can go watch their friends compete. Are they bused there with the kids that are competing, or how does that work when they want to go support their friends?
Kevin, are you able to take that?
Yeah. So depending on what the sport is, obviously we're in difficult times right now with COVID, so it's been challenging. It will normally depend. Obviously, we have the home events, so we'll send out emails and communication to the student population, to faculty and staff as well, to say that we have a riding event, or we have a climbing event, or we have a soccer game, or we have a basketball game. Traditionally, for events that have been away, it's normally, I'll speak for soccer because I'm the coach. For the past 4 years, we've taken a bus for the school to our semi-final games. We haven't got past the semi-finals, but we'll take a bus and kids can sign up. Hopefully, once we kind of get back to whatever the new normal is, we can offer more weekend trips to be able to take the student body to watch basketball, soccer, climbing, riding, whatever it is that it may be. So it just varies. It varies on where the game is as well. We were fortunate that this past year for soccer, the games were fairly local, so we were able to get buses to there. If it's in Denver, it's a little bit more challenging. We do our best, but we don't really know what that looks like because COVID has kind of been overtaken us for the past 2 years. But to answer your question, yes, we do offer that when we can, because it's a great weekend activity to be able to do that for our student population.
Thanks, Kevin. Anyone else have any questions about any sports, any activities, theater, the arts, anything that's non-sport related now that you have a whole bunch of people from Fountain Valley?
I have a question for Malia about horse riding, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So I don't really know how much you know about this, Malia, but I was wondering kind of about the Western program and if you have any idea in what competitions Western riders compete, and then also how many people ride both Western and English?
We don't currently have anyone riding both Western and English, but I've remember someone doing it before. It's just split through the week. It depends on how serious you are in either, and if you're gonna do shows in either, because if you're gonna do shows in English, then they might want you to be a little bit more there in English, or if you can do shows in Western, they probably want you a little bit more there. But I think they've gone to 2 or 3 shows this year and done pretty well. They usually place top 5-ish out of the 20 kids that compete. So, and then there's around I think 6 kids in the Western program right now. So.
And we have a wonderful Western program and Western coach. I think Malia will agree. Mr. Bruce, who coaches Western, is pretty awesome and very much just a cowboy at heart and grew up breaking Mustangs out in the plains of Colorado and is pretty legitimate when it comes to doing some cool stuff. His hope is that we can add a few competitions throughout the year. They'd probably be spaced out quite a bit, but he's hoping to try to get a little bit of rodeo, maybe some barrel racing he's chatted with me about. And so we'll see if that can happen. But either way, Western's pretty flexible. Like Malia said, the team will do trail rides. They usually do a backcountry overnight pack trip, one in the fall and one in the spring. And so students will pack up sleeping bags, tents, all their cooking supplies. They're going to put it in their saddlebags on a horse. They're going to trailer the horse to the mountains where they pre-planned a route, and they're going to ride up to the mountains and maybe find, a high country lake, and they're going to camp overnight and then come back down. And then so there's some pretty unique opportunities when it comes to Western. Malia, do you want to answer that? That question just came up.
Yeah, so it's like you don't have to compete, but if you want to take lessons, it has to be your afternoon sport. You can't just take lessons on the weekend. I haven't seen that done. If you talk to the trainers, they might be able to get something done, but you absolutely don't have to compete. There's plenty of people who don't compete. Since we have our beginner, intermediate, and advanced riders, I think 2 of our advanced riders don't compete. And then intermediate, I think they all do. And then beginner, I think only 2 do. So yeah, it's just kind of what you want.
Perfect. Thanks, Malia.
Let me just follow up on that. We need so for those that are interested in the riding program, whether it be English riding or Western riding, we do ask that you connect with your admissions counselor, and then they can then put you in touch with Anne Hannah, the program director for English riding, or Coach Spencer Bruce with Western riding, so that they're aware of your interest in the program. We are limited to the number of horses that we have on campus. And so it's important that you express your desire to want to be a part of the riding program, so that Coach Hannah knows this, and then can do the necessary things, such as kind of brief you on, bringing your own horse, or, okay, you need a school horse, and the level that you've been riding at. Are you a beginner? Are you an advanced? Are you intermediate? So that we can place you in the right program. So I will express as the athletic department to make sure that that you speak with the admissions counselor to make sure they put you in touch with Coach Hannah.
Perfect. Kevin, while we have you on, can you give just a very brief overview of outdoor ed, since we haven't covered that?
Yeah, absolutely. So outdoor ed is, excuse me, is another program that we offer in the fall and we offer in the spring. And outdoor ed is a mixture of a little bit of everything. So it's the orientation, it's a little bit of climbing, it's hiking, it's camping, it's cooking when you're camping, it's water safety in the outdoors, it's snowshoeing when it's snowing, it's cross-country skiing if there's the ability to be able to do that. So it's a little bit of everything within this program. We offer it in the fall. And we offer it in the spring. The reason we don't offer it in the winter is the weather conditions can be a little bit extreme. So we edge our bets by just having it in the fall and in the winter. It is run by Mr. Josh Alford, who is also one of our climbing coaches and kind of oversees climbing and outdoor ed for us here at Fountain Valley School. Traditionally, it's been kids that have signed up are those that have no idea what Colorado has to offer and is able to experience that. Within the program, there's 6 opportunities to go on kind of trips for the weekend, and you need to attend 4 of those 6 trips, I believe it is, to gain credit. And these trips can vary from just an ordinary hike to actually camping for the night, and to going to the mountain campus and snowshoeing or backpacking. So very unique, very different. A lot of schools do offer this, but they don't offer it in Colorado because they're not in Colorado. So we have the best outdoor environment surrounding us compared to other schools in the country. So we're blessed with that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kevin. One of the other unique things about Fountain Valley athletics after school offerings is that students are balancing all of these with a tremendous workload, right? With rigorous academics. Malia is shaking her head because she has 3 tests tomorrow. And so I do want to be conscious of our students' time. And so Malia and Renee, I'm going to let you both go. And if any of our guests would like to connect with them, please just write to us in admissions or write in the chat and we'll connect you with them. But we're going to let them go so they can get back to work.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Malia.
you so much.
Renee. If anyone else has questions, I'm happy to stay on. But for all of you, please feel free. We don't want to take up your whole night. We wanted this to be somewhat of a brief overall understanding of Fountain Valley offerings. I'm happy to stay on if anybody has some specific questions. So other than that, we're gonna let you all go. Please reach out to admissions if you have any questions. That's what we're here for, to walk you through the process to help you understand Fountain Valley inside and out and become very comfortable with who we are and help figure out if we're the perfect fit for either you or for parents for your child.